I feel like Kanye West is the perfect example of a masculine being possessed, or a person gendered as a man being possessed by the Jezebel spirit, being infested by the Jezebel spirit, and just their life being completely overrun by the Jezebel spirit. And I feel like it's important to note that, like, I do have empathy and compassion for all people, because unconditionally loving people means understanding that there is something happening within them that has made them the way that they are. And even if I don't like it, even if I don't like them, even if I can't relate, it is still valid. And I don't have to put up with it. I don't have to tolerate it. But they are still worthy of getting all of their needs met. And by that, I mean spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, energetic, or causal, all of our bodies. Because if all of our spiritual needs were being met and we were not operating at a deficit, we wouldn't feel the need to cause harm to ourselves and others. That is truly what I believe. And for that reason, I do want everyone to get all of their needs met, so that we can all live integrated, happy, united as one. Because until we are able to do that, we are not going to be able to engage with the rest of the cosmic community. And that is just that. We need to elevate as a race. As earthlings, we need to elevate, and primarily as human race on Earth, we need to elevate. 2, 3, 4 on the timer there. I don't know if folks have noticed, but there's been like an abundance of sirens, at least like where I live. There've been an abundance of sirens and an abundance of explosions, but that's tea for another TikTok. Point is, I am not excusing any of this man's actions or behaviors. Anything that he has done, he has to be held accountable to. And I hope that he is. I know that he is going to be and is being held accountable to. But yeah, I want him to face the consequences of his actions. But I also have to say that it is very, very obvious to me that this is a person who is deeply, deeply not in any kind of sovereignty. And we have to just think about, like, if you remember the TikTok series that I made about the Jezebel, he fits like all of the markers, all of the criteria. He was victimized by incest as a child. I don't remember if he said he initiated it or his older cousin initiated it. What I can say is this, though. His cousin was 3 years older than him, and he wanted to continue doing it well past the time when they knew that it was something that needed to stop. Dependent on their age, I really don't know, like, how old they were. I don't remember, but I want to say that he was like 6 and his cousin was 9. 3 years is a lot of time, you know what I mean? And I 100% feel that the cousin ought to have known better. But, I don't know. And children are children, and I can't speak on that. But a 6-year-old wanting to do something that they don't understand, I just really feel like at the age of 9, I would have known. I would have known that what was going on was wrong. But maybe that's because I myself was being victimized in that way. Ultimately, the overall point that I am making is that he was sexually victimized by a family member, and this is one of the primary ways that the Jezebel spirit sinks in their hooks and hijacks a person's soul and infiltrates their consciousness. He was exposed to pornography at a very young age, which made him sick. It traumatized him, obviously, because it is traumatizing. I used to be so scared when my cousins would watch that kind of content. I would be so scared, and sometimes I would hide under the bed. I did not like it. I did not enjoy it, but I went along with it sometimes because I wanted acceptance. And then also it's like it gets to a place where you want to know more, you want to understand it. But either way, you know, he was traumatized, and that is particularly his dad's fault for leaving that kind of content out readily available. But then his mom having hidden magazines somewhere, don't really understand that, like, how he needs to look there. But having already been exposed to the Jezebel spirit, I would say that he probably was led there by that spirit. It probably guided him to find that content to further emasculate and traumatize him in SRA capacity, and then activate and pass that on to his cousin. This doesn't excuse, I had to go back to all of this because I have for a very long time felt that he was also like victim of CSA by an adult. So I had to pause, but looping back in where I had to pause, this looks like it's going to be longer than 10 minutes, so I'm probably going to upload as much of it as I can to TikTok, but the rest of it's going to be on YouTube, which I think is what I'm going to do from now on because my readings tend to be longer. They're denser, they go deeper, and if they were superficial, then I could fit them into 3 minutes, but because they are long and dense and, you know, ripe and fertile, we have to take our time with them. But all of that to say, let's dive back in to what we were discussing, and that is how this person got their lives taken over. And you have to understand that the Jezebel spirit, like, there's been so much talk about destiny swapping, and that is because the Jezebel spirit is attempting to destiny swap everything about her, everything that's going on. She is a destiny swapper. Okay, like the Jezebel spirit is trying to, this unsacred feminine, this toxic feminine, this unfertile feminine is trying to latch on to the sacred feminine, the divine feminine, and leech her energy, her blessings away from her, and to take them from her and embody them herself. Unfortunately, and I see the name Ursula over there on I see that name somewhere where I'm at, and like I think that this is exactly like one thing that's come up a lot, and one thing that I definitely think that like folks should be cognizant of. In a story that is a great parallel for this is The Little Mermaid. Think of it. The Little Mermaid, this is a Venusian story, this is a Neptunian story. The Little Mermaid, the Disney version, I would say, not necessarily the Hans Christian Andersen version, because that version is actually like a whole other beast in and of itself. um, but this is why this film is put out generation after generation. Why these stories, they took stories, Disney took stories from Germany and other European countries, and also like they started taking like classic tales from all over the world, mythological stories, all of these like stories that are highly relatable, and they started making them into movies because what? Because these stories tell what is actually going on. And if they tell us what's going on, even if it's convoluted, even if it's encoded, encrypted, even if the truth of what is happening is hidden, if they tell us what's going on, then they are essentially, they feel that they're not liable in spiritual court. But we have been in a time of divine judgment and justice, and that's not true. That's not true. And so that's why they keep remaking the same content over and over again and putting it out. But here in this case, this 𝗂𝗵𝗄, um, this fragmentation, if you think about it, like, think about yourself, and as you are doing your shadow work and you get fragmented, you are essentially haunted all throughout your life. You are haunted by the truth trying to integrate, trying to get back to you. You are haunted by this until finally you turn around and you face yourself. And sure, it may seem like, oh, we're doing battle, but you're not really doing battle. It is integration, right? If like, does it make sense to battle yourself? Is the question that you have to ask yourself. And the answer is no, it doesn't. It makes sense to try to do your best to develop a understanding of yourself. It makes sense to do your best to contextualize the circumstances in which you exist so you can know what is yours and what isn't yours, and you can leave what isn't yours behind, and put that to the side. And you can do the work to reconcile with yourself, which is hard work. It is some of the hardest. And we project all of these fragments onto other people so that we have opportunities to work through it with other people, when really, if it keeps happening, it's because it is a fragment within ourselves that needs to be reintegrated. So yeah, you have to progress in your relationships, and also you have to progress primarily in your relationship to yourself and in your relationship to your higher power, to the universe, to God. And this is something that Kanye hasn't done, but I'm going to loop back to the Little Mermaid. This 𝗂𝗵𝗄 is jealous and angry about something else, let's just say, and she tricks Ariel into giving her her voice. She's taken the souls of a bunch of other people, but she asks Ariel for her voice. Why? Because your voice is your power. Your voice is your power. Ariel can sing. I don't feel that at any point we see Ursula being able to sing like at the same level as um, Ariel, obviously, because otherwise, if she could, why would she? Why would she try to take her voice from her, or want to trick her into surrendering her voice? All for something that, frankly, in the original story is not worth having. Because we know in the original story that Hans Christian Andersen transcribed, Ariel, every step that she takes on her new feet is like walking on shards of glass. She's in extreme pain. And in the end, the prince doesn't even choose her. It's very much a be careful what you wish for. But there's this second baby cat indoctrination going on in these Disney films, where you're always looking for a savior, and that savior is always this valiant, perfect male, perfect masculine prince who's going to come and save you from everything and sweep you away and turn you into a princess, or honor your princesshood through true love's first kiss. And let's just be honest, like there's a certain time in history where that was something that like a lot of women had to just like use that story, like that idea, that fantasy, that delusion, to keep themselves from giving up completely because they didn't have very many other options. But we don't need to do that. So it doesn't make sense why this narrative is looping back around and causing a lot of people gendered as women or femme identifying people to cede their autonomy, cede their sovereignty for the illusion of safety, the illusion of stability, the illusion of security, to be with a provider. It doesn't make sense. And this is why most of the people who are preaching this stuff are not even in happy marriages. Most of the people who are preaching this stuff are not even in happy marriages, and they are, a lot of them are succubi, or um, the Jezebel has infiltrated their mind, and they are beta, they are second baby cat programmed out of their mind. They're delusional. Suffice it to say, and there is a way to be in your sovereignty in um, in a relationship where your partner has more privilege than you societally, and they are supporting you and providing for you. There is a way to be in your sovereignty. There are plenty of ways to be in your sovereignty, but what these people are teaching is not that. And that is why you see it always, always fails. Without fail, it always fails. To try to have a love relationship with someone who doesn't love you, like, or who's objectifying you and you don't love them, like you're not going to be happy. Not truly. You might think that you're happy, but you're really not. It's a karmic relationship. So yeah. But she does that to destiny swap with Ariel, because then she goes and she makes herself into a human so that she can go and steal Prince Eric, so that she can keep Ariel's voice and live Ariel's life. And part of that is because Ariel did not appreciate what she had. This is important. The Hans Christian Andersen version is important to know. The Disney version is false. It is manipulative. Because in the end, she doesn't win. She doesn't. Anyway, moving on, we have to return back to what I was saying about destiny swapping and this famous entertainer. So this universe is like having a destiny swap. It's like there's another universe colliding with it that is trying to destiny swap. And this is because this is a fragmented universe. I believe that, yes, it is trying to drain it, but that's because it doesn't know how to integrate with it. And I don't know that it even really should, because the fragmentation is the issue. Like, it should never have happened. So that has to be mitigated, that needs to be healed, that needs to be reconciled, before any kind of integration can really happen. And that's what's happening. And so that's why this is endemic. This spiritual warfare is a destiny swap. And that is why what is happening is happening. You see it all over because it happened at a cosmological scale. It happened at a quantum scale. It happened in the higher dimensions, not just in the 3D. And I think that's a big part of the problem that people don't understand. Is like, oh, this happened in the 3D. No, bitch. Like, this happened higher dimensionally, and so it has happened over and over and over again, simultaneously, and also in linear time, over and over and over again, because of that, because of it happening in a higher dimension. But I think I'm gonna try and wrap this up by saying that obviously this entity has been preying on this person since probably before they were born. I think I saw Sloan Bella talk about this, the fact that like they knew that he was coming to Earth before he came to Earth, and so like if this is the case, then there was always a plan to attack him, to take over. You understand what I mean? I do believe that this is the case, and I do believe that that is why, like, these traps were set in front of him. And, you know, the man is a misogynist. Point blank, period. He is a misogynist. He has long been a misogynist. He hates himself. He's anti-black. Like, period. Before anything else, period, on that. I do believe that he always had these issues with his mental health. I believe that he was always mentally ill. I believe this because there's evidence in his songs that he had been hospitalized before becoming famous. He has a lot of media that he's put out of him just like wilding out. And some of this is like when, you know, he made a video, a movie that I think was directed by Spike Jonze. It was a short film where he's like really drunk and just acting crazy. And that's it, you know what I mean? He's definitely in active substance abuse. And I think that like the thing that exemplifies, and I've already put this in a video before about destiny swapping, the thing that exemplifies to me that he is in the clutches of the Jezebel spirit is his wife, or his choice of partner for sure, but especially Kim. And you know, let's just say that Kim is a yachter, so he has a penchant for people who use their bodies to generate income. And I'm just going to leave it at that. This is not me trying to create stigma, but this is just like, that is literally what the Jezebel entity is about. It is about forcing people to give up their sovereignty in order to have like anything of any worth, anything of any value in their lives. You understand what I mean? To give up your sovereignty, that is in and of itself robbing you of your, what is the term I want to use here? Robbing you of your destiny so that they can take it from you, because that gives them, then they have like quote unquote spiritual rights to do that, which is just simply not true. So I want to say this, and I think that it's like worth it to just end it there because I already have other videos about this. This person is a prime case of just like, they completely having absolutely no agency, no autonomy, and they're very rarely ever actually lucid. They're constantly in a state of dissociation and being controlled by other entities. And that doesn't excuse any of the things that they've done to be harmful. But it just is like, to me, an example, an explanation, if you will, of like why they are the way that they are in part. So I hope that that was helpful. If you found it to be so, and you know, for entertainment purposes only, if you found it to be so, obviously, like, I encourage you and invite you to like, comment, and subscribe, and also book a session with me um, through my Ko-Fi, which is in the description and the caption. And also, you can subscribe to my Substack, The Mysteries. There's also in the caption and in the description. All right, thanks.